Hi poetry lovers, welcome to my channel Bella Poetry. My name is Bella and I love beautiful poetry. In this segment of our second series, The Best Love Poetry and the Poets That Meant It, we will discuss the life of a Lebanese American poet, philosopher, artist, author, Kahlil Gibran. Kahlil Gibran is best known for his novel The Prophet, which was published in New York in 1923. It became one of the best-selling books and it was translated into more than 100 languages. Quite an achievement. Gibran was born on January 6, 1883 in the village of Pshari in Lebanon. His parents were Kahlil and Camilla Gibran. They were Maronite Christians. As written by Bashroui and Jenkins, they would set for Gibran an example of tolerance by refusing to perpetuate religious prejudice and bigotry in their daily lives. Camilla's paternal grandfather converted from Islam to Christianity. She was 30 years old when Gibran was born. She was married before her two other times before her third husband, Kahlil Gibran. She had a son from her previous marriage, whose name was Butrus. Then she had with Kahlil Gibran and two more girls, Mariana and Sultana. Gibran started at the age of 5 to attend a one-class school that was run by a priest. There he was introduced to Arabic, Syriac, and arithmetic. So he started his school quite early. And Gibran's father was a very complicated man, not very responsible. He had a lot of gambling debts. He worked as a tax collector, and they found out, the authorities, that he was embezzling money. So he was incarcerated for 3 years, from 1891 to 1894. During the time that he was in jail, his wife Camilla had to take care of her 4 children, and she was not happy. She decided she's going to take her children and immigrate to America because her brother lived there, to give them a chance at a better life. And that's what she did. Although when her husband came out of jail, everybody thought that she would change her mind, but she didn't. She was pretty resolved, and she immigrated to Boston South End, which was the second largest Syrian Lebanese American community in the United States. Gibran entered the Josiah Quincy School on September 30th, 1895, when he was 12 years old, and very vigorously he started to learn English. His mother had to take care of her big family, so she started working as a seamstress and a peddler. She basically went from door to door, knocking on the doors and offering fabric and lace for sale. And that was a very physically strenuous job. His half-brother, Butrus, opened a shop. So everybody tried to help the family. Gibran at the time also enrolled in art school at Dennison House, a nearby settlement house. Through his teachers there, he met a photographer and an avant-garde Boston artist whose name was F. Holland Day. And F. Holland Day became very, very influential in the life of Kahlil Gibran. He inspired him and encouraged his creative endeavors. When he was 15 years old, he met a woman who was 8 years senior. Her name was Josephine Preston Peabody. His parents, his mother and his older brother, were not so happy to observe this romantic attachment because she was much older and they considered him to be still a very young boy, which he was. And so they decided to send him back to Beirut for a few years so that he will absorb some of the culture and probably to move him farther away from Peabody. And so in Beirut, he attended College de la Sagesse, a Maronite-run institute in Beirut. So he studied Arabic literature for 3 years there and French as well. He graduated from college at the age of 18 with high honors, and now he spoke French as well. So he decided to go to France, visit Spain, Greece, Italy, to learn about art and to kind of widen his horizons. And that's exactly what he did. But when he turned 19 years old on April 2nd, 1902, he received very sad news that his younger sister Sultana, died at the age of 14 from tuberculosis. He was obviously very devastated. He decided to go back. And soon after, a year later, when he turned 20, his brother Butrus passed away. And soon after, his mother Camilla passed away as well, both from tuberculosis. And 2 days later, after his mother died, his girlfriend Peabody, with whom he still was in touch, left him without any explanation, which left him totally devastated. Literally, in a matter of 1 year, he lost 2 siblings, his mother, his girlfriend, and it was just obviously too much for anybody. So Mariana and Gibran were left the only two from their family. Mariana had to work in a dressmaker shop to support herself and her brother. In January 1904, Gibran held his first art exhibition in Boston in Day's studio. During the exhibition, he met a person that would be extremely important and essential to his life. And that was Mary Haskell. She was actually 9 years senior than him. She was 9 years older than Gibran. And she was the headmistress of a girls' school. She helped him tremendously. She supported him financially. She edited all his English writings. People say, like the scholars say, that their romantic relationship was a little bit obscure. They weren't sure if it was really that romantic, but they wrote extremely romantic letters to each other that later, after Gibran's death, proved that their relationship was very, very serious. Gibran did not believe in institution of marriage, but he proposed to her. They were very briefly engaged from 1910 to 1911. I feel that he felt very in debt to her because she helped him so much. She understood that, and she canceled the engagement. Later, Haskell married Jacob Florence Minnis in 1926. But in spite of that, she always remained Gibran's closest friend, patron, and benefactor. And she used her influence to advance his career. At that time, Gibran, in 1904, he met Amin al-Ghuraib, editor of Al-Mohajer, where Gibran started to publish articles. And in 1905, Gibran's first published written work, that was a profile of the art of music, written in Arabic, was published. On January 27, 1908, Haskell introduced Gibran to her friend Charlotte Teller, who was 31 years old, and to another girl who was only 19. She was a teacher at her school. Her name was Michelin. And both girls, Charlotte and Michelin, agreed, Michelina actually, they called her Michelina. Her real name was Amelia Michel, so they called her Michelina. So they agreed to pose for Gibran in his paintings. He later kind of fell in love with Michelina. They had a relationship back and forth. She got pregnant, but the pregnancy was ectopic, so she had to have an abortion. And finally, the relationship with Michelina kind of fell apart. So Gibran came, he lived in Paris. He went abroad. He studied art. And obviously, Haskell was his financial supporter while he studied in Paris at the Académie Julian. She helped him a lot. He sailed back to New York on October 22nd, 1910, arriving to Boston on November 11th. Now, over time, however, he started having a lot of health issues, and he would spend more and more time away from New York. He spent months at home, staying either with friends in the countryside or with his sister Mariana in Boston or on the Massachusetts coast. Most of Gibran's early writings were in Arabic, but starting from 1918, he started writing in English. Such was The Madman, Gibran's first book, published in English in 1918. In 1921, Gibran reported that the doctors told him to give up all kinds of exertion and work for 6 months and do nothing but drink, rest, and eat. And in 1922, he was ordered to stay away from cities and city life. So he rented a small cottage near the sea. He wanted to move there with Mariana and to remain there until full recovery. And then we know that in 1923, he published his famous book, The Prophet, in New York. It sold very well, but it received a cool critical reception. In 1929, when Gibran turned 46 years old, he was diagnosed with enlarged liver. He was a heavy drinker, and obviously it affected his health. Plus, it seems to be like hereditary disease in his family, tuberculosis. If you remember, his mother died of cancer actually, but his brother and his sister Sultana both passed away from tuberculosis. So the last book that Gibran wrote and published was published on March 4th, 1931, and it was called The Earth Gods. On April 10th, 1931, literally a month later, Gibran was admitted to St. Vincent Hospital in Manhattan, and he passed away the same day. He was diagnosed with cirrhosis of liver because he was a heavy drinker, and he also had tuberculosis in one of his lungs. He expressed his wish to be buried in Lebanon, so they took his body to Lebanon to bury him there, and they wrote on his tomb, "I am alive like you, and now I stand beside you. Close your eyes and look around. You will see me in front of you." All future royalties from his books he willed to his hometown of Bashri for civic betterment. So that was very nice of him. In 1950, Haskell donated, he also gave all his paintings to Haskell, over 100 works of art, and then she donated them in 1950 to Telfair Museum of Art in Savannah, Georgia. And now I will read to you one of Kahlil Gibran's poems, which is called Love One Another. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each other, one of you, be alone. Even as the strings of lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping. For only the hand of life can contain your hearts, and stand together, yet not too near together. For the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. So basically, the poem talks about the fact that although it's wonderful to love one another, but you cannot control the other person. You should keep a space between, people should keep a space between each other. And I think it's a very beautiful poem. And with this poem, we end this segment of Bella Poetry. Please visit us again. Next week, we will talk about Sarah Teasdale, an American poet who was born in 1884. Thank you so much for visiting Bella Poetry Presents. Visit us again, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. To subscribe is free, and we truly appreciate your support. Thank you very much.